All right, Dave Wiegand will be playing first in this game, so it is going to be a tough challenge for Yuki, but she is up to it. She's peppy, and I spoke to her this morning. I'm really excited to see this game, and I think just about underway.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see Yuki go up against Dr. Bing. I mean, he's known as Dr. Bing because he's always finding those bingos. He's always getting them down on the board. It's kind of terrifying and also very fun to play him. But Yuki's just, I mean, she's such an incredible person and she's so fun to play against. I've played her a few times. I really do enjoy it. It's lovely to see her, playing in the open division this time with the 2000s players. I think this is going to be a really great show.
It's going to be so exciting. All of this Scrabble, 20 games starting right now.
All right, we're just waiting for Dr. Bing to show us his styles and we can get going.
And in S, the very first tile on the rack, what kind of omen is this for Dave? Is he going to win this tournament for the 1,000th time? I think he's won 1,000 before. AAFILNS, the rack for Dave. No 7-letter words available for him. And he's going to be faced with one of those classic Scrabble decisions. Play long and take points, something like final or fanal, FANAL for 24, or something more conservative. FA holds AILNS, which is a great leave here. We'll get to see Dave. Short versus long decision on turn one. I think these are going to be close.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if Yukiko had gotten to go first, actually, because she would have been able to get down Nurts, and that T would have given Bing two possible bingos to play, and he unfortunately doesn't have those right now. So as you said, Matt, he's got a decision to make here. The thing with playing long means that you're giving your opponent the chance to play through some more floaters, but final scores so well, and it's such a good way to keep good tiles that I think it makes sense that he's gone ahead and he's played that. This is a good play.
All right, so final, the opening turn here for Dave, opting to play long, score some points, 24-0 his advantage, but that A in space is going to let Yuki crush the Z on her rack. You see she's set up Nerts now, but I think she's just going to end up playing a shorter play, making ZA overlaps. ZEN is 46 right now. CRRT is not the best leave, but that is actually the only way she's going to be able to stack above final aside from just playing ZE there.
I would actually prefer she didn't play Zen. I know she's got it on her rack right now to the side, but I really think that we need to start thinking about how penalizing these duplicates are on our racks. I mean, it's really terrible to keep those two R's. I'd like her to play something like Zar, like CZAR, just so that she can get rid of one of those R's. I think Zen is a good high scoring play, and Zar gives up a lot of points, but Zen, it's just like keeping those consonants, even though they seem nice, that those two R's are just, they're not great to have.
Yeah, but you know what is nice to have is 20 extra points. The plays sim neck and neck, so that looks to be mostly a stylistic decision. And Yuki opting to take the points now. You can never scoff at a player for doing that, and she's pulled very nicely. But Dave has also pulled pretty nicely. A, B, C, D, E, O, S. No bingos again for Dave here, but one standout option available, a 48 pointer. I think Dave's already seen it. He just wants to make sure there are no nines available before he cashes in his double on this turn.
Oh, that's a good find. Yeah, I'd really like him to play that. But here's the thing, is he likely to just play Cobb here? Just COB? No, I mean, he's got bodices lined up. I think that's what he's going to play, get his double. Makes sense for him to get, those 48 points. He's obviously going to see it. He's got it, on his rack right now. But if he does go with something like Cobb above final, I think that would be a fine play as well. I mean, bodices is just a lovely play.
And Dave, wasting no more time, he is pulling the trigger on it. Bodices for 48 will pull him ahead 72-46. And Yuki, she's found Crafter on her rack, Refract available in these letters as well, but neither will play on the board. This is going to be a tricky turn for Yuki now. Going to have to make sure there are no bingos available. That's going to take her some time off her clock. And then she's going to have to settle for a next best option. There are a lot of good options here that all score about 30. She's going to have to figure out which leave she wants and how many points to score now. But I think she's going to capitalize on the triple letter score next to the O and bodices and cash that F in. Maybe something like ref or calf. Nits, what do you think here?
I think that's a really good, yeah, that's a really good spot to play in. I think ref is a great play here. It keeps the T for tref if she wants to go over that next time. I think something like tref itself would not be terrible. I mean, CAR is a really good leave, but I don't know if it's worth. I don't know if it's worth playing that T for that one extra point. So calf or ref, I think definitely would be the better option here. And she has seen refract. She does know that there's a bingo on her rack, but she's not going to be able to find a place for it. I wonder if she's looking for the possibility of an 8. And when she goes through that, I think she's going to come to the realization that now is a great time to just play off 3 tiles and move on.
I don't know. There's lots of opportunity. These letters look very synergistic. That ACERT combination is so well. There's opportunity on the board. There's E's and S's in space. I think Yuki's going to spend quite a bit of time here looking, but we've got the anagrammer, we've got the program. We know there's nothing. There she has settled into REF, and I love this opportunity for her because of the front T hook. Alex C. Holm pointing this out in chat. North American champion himself in the past. This is a great play from Yuki. Thumbs up from this commentator.
And I see that the chat had spotted an incredible spot for Bing where he could have been able to play Aeon, AEON, making dozen. That would have been an incredible play to see come down. Ref, of course, it blocks it. And now we've got Dave Wiegand here with a choice to make for what to do with all his vowels. I mean, something as simple as Eve, EAVE, would be perfectly fine above Zen, making EEL, eel. I think that's a perfectly respectable play. It keeps AIO, which is not exactly the leave that you want, but what else are you really going to do in this situation?
Yeah, it's a tough rack, just so inflexible, but not quite inflexible enough that you can justify throwing it all back. You've got to try to fight through if you're Dave and keep some kind of unwieldy combination. There are opportunities to play through the N in Zen and backhook final with an E to make finale. Something like AINEE is a really cool valve dump, but it opens the board up, exposes a triple word square. I'm not sure we're going to see Dave make that play.
I think
What
it'd
is?
be.
Oh, he
Oh,
threw
wow.
back.
He is exchanging.
Whoa.
That's incredible. Okay. All right. So he just keeps the E. I guess that makes sense. An E could be considered to be worth about 3 points. AIE also in columns could be considered to be worth 3 points. So if he's gonna, like maybe he's just trying to get another shot at getting the blank, which he does get. So if you're gonna throw tiles back, you should probably just pick up a blank when you do it.
I mean, 3 tiles are huge in this game right now. The T for Tref, the S for Zens, and the blanks. And I think Dave just feels these vowels aren't going anywhere at all. They're not going to help me. I need to get to something good. So perhaps a galaxy brain move by Dave going into the bag, finding a blank, but also finding some junk, QEEK to go with it. Dave will have some interesting turns in the near future
And
once again.
he kind of got lucky. If he had played EAVE, if he'd played Eve, it would have given Yuki back clarinet. So I mean, he kind of escapes that, and she's got nothing to do now. She's just got these 7 tiles. They don't play it to make a bingo. She doesn't have an 8. I mean, she's probably going to look for one because these tiles look so promising. But there's not much for Yuki to do here. She's barely going to score anything in like above mid 20s. I think at most she can get 25 points making tref, but this is a tough time for Yuki.
This is one of the turns that completely breaks an engine. And if you analyze your Scrabble games, never trust the engine. But Quackle wants her to fish an L for 5 points, just BEL. That's a play that works a lot more against a computer than it does against Dave Wiegand. I think you need to score a little bit more if you're Yuki. I would be looking to hold on to the T for Tref if at all possible, unless I plan to take that spot myself. And there are a few tricky words that will play up on top of Tref, longer words like RICTAL available, but I'm not seeing a standout play. Man, this is an extremely challenging turn with a lot of plays simming very close to one another. Another trap turn that's going to cost Yuki some time here, I think.
It seems like Yuki has identified Clark on her rack, and I think that would be a good play here. It's simming pretty closely to something like czar. I think this is a fine play to make. A lot of words start with the letter C. So if she wants to, hope to keep this board aggressive, which is probably what you want to do when you're playing against a much higher rated player than you, then a C out in space is a really good thing to have. That gives her a chance to possibly play a bingo next time.
I'm trying to figure out maybe part of the reason that fishing the L is good is because you draw bingos through that EL on the board, but we're not going to break that down. Clark looks like a good way to get out of this turn. Looks like a solid option. Engine gives it a reasonable thumbs up. And man, I'm so curious to watch Dave Wiegand navigate these unwieldy racks. You never want to hold on to the queue, but you have to. Like, there's nothing else to do. You can burn the blank and play QUAI through the A and Clark for 44, holding EEK, but I think Dave's just going to have to fight through EEK somewhere, probably. Anything jumping out to you, Nits?
I think maybe making eel an eek would be fine. We're going to see the beginnings of a staircase board as the tiles start to stack up on one side, kind of in a ladder. But there's really not much else that he could do here. I mean, I guess he could play off QIN, but that just makes no sense. I mean, he really wants to get rid of that Q, but there's just no good. There's just no way to do that right now in a way that makes sense. You really don't want to keep three E's and that K with you. So, I mean, he's set off EEK to the side. I hope he goes ahead and he plays it.
Yeah, just there's nothing else to do here. You can't burn the blank this early on this board. Eek is, I think Dave's just going to have to back into it eventually. Now, he'll take solace in the fact that into her I in leave, Yuki just drew AAEIO. So she's not going to be able to respond to this Eek. Tough draws for both players.
We've seen a lot of valves coming out already. I wonder if that's going to be a problem later on in the game. I mean, Bing did choose to throw these vowels back and to have another shot at some consonants. He did get a blank out of it. I wonder if Yuki is just going to play through this rack. I hope she does so. There is a great new word that has been added to the dictionary. It's AENEI. Ine. And I think if Yuki is able to spot that through the EN on the board right now, I think that would be an incredible play for her to make. She would get rid of her A, her E, and her I, keeping AINO, which I think is a nice variation of vowels to keep on her side.
This is going to be a fun turn. This is more a chance for Yuki to make a statement about what kind of player she is. Do I want to open the board against Dave Wiegand? Do I want to close the board? This is a good option, though. NAOI, score some points. AEI is about the most flexible you're going to be able to hold on this turn, and got to score something. So Yuki pulls ahead now, 110 to 94 over Dave, who found a bunch more vowels himself. Oh, the end of this game is going to be nuts with all the consonants.
Oh, this is fun for him. But NAOI has given him a really easy spot for his QI now. If he wants to dump it, it's a little dangerous because it can be underlapped with an N or an S, but you know what? It's 44 points. It makes sense to immediately play that, deal with those vowels later. You want those points. You do not want that Q.
Big consonants on the draw for Yuki. That's exactly what you're looking for. If Dave is going to play QI, might as well draw the X and just hit him back with XI in the same spot. XI is nice and defensive as well. You would have loved to draw an N there, hit QIN or an S, but this is one of the better draws Yuki could have into that leave. I think XI is probably what we're going to see here for 36, but you can score a little bit more with it on top. AX under Clark is 38. You got to break up those I's, right, Nits?
I think so. And I also don't think that she needs to block up that spot up there with AX because, I mean, right now, Bing's plays aren't exactly giving her any inference, any information on what he could possibly be keeping. If anything, okay, he's probably got a lot of vowels, he's exchanged before, and now he's got the Q. She doesn't know that he's got the blank. She doesn't have any reason to suspect that he's got a blank. She doesn't need to really block up that spot up there. Also, I really think that because she's relatively lower rated compared to him, then it's better to keep that spot open for herself to get some sort of volatility out of the game. And the XI play, so good for strategic and for equity reasons, I think.
Yeah, another solid play from Yuki, and she'll pull back ahead of Dave. 146 for her, 138 for Dave. 5 more vowels on Dave's rack, AEGIOO, and that blank. No bingos available again for Dave here. Goo, GOO, on top of eek, making Jen and OK is 18. It keeps AEI blank. It opens up a section of the board that's going to be annoying to block off. This seems very solid for Dave, but he's going to take some time here, I think, and figure out exactly how he wants to construct this board, or if he wants to open. Sometimes with the blank in tow, it's more fun to just play something like Cog, keep reasonably well, wait for your opponent to open the board, and then bingo in their spot. I'd be looking to eject a couple more vowels than a play like Cog, though. I see that triple triple at the bottom. If I pull an N and draw a triple triple, or an S and I draw a triple triple, the game's over. I'd love to keep those possibilities in play, and keeping 4 vowels won't do that. I think we're
That's
going to see Dave play Goo.
That's a really good point. In fact, now that you mention it, maybe it wouldn't be too bad to keep a consonant. I mean, the G is not the first consonant that you'd want to keep on your rack. But if you place something like oof, to the F in final, making OOF on the other direction as well, and OD, or in this here, cog, I mean, I think oof, something like that, keeps that consonant. It makes sense. You want to play that. And cog, I think, like you mentioned, it's one too many vowels. So something like goo, I think, would have been better here, would have opened up the board just a little bit more. I mean, yes, it would have been like a staircase on top of eek, but I think it would have been a good idea for him to keep fewer vowels.
All right, so the first big test for Yuki here, and she's just passed with flying colors. Bingo's in this rack, wayside and its anagram sideway, and Yuki set it up, cashing it in. This is her only playable bingo. She's dropping it in about 20 seconds or less. This will be 80 points for Yuki. This is going to feel great for her. Nice find, well executed.
That's incredible. That took her no time at all. That's exactly what you like to see. When you get those tiles out of the bag, you see the W, you see the Y, you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. But she found sideway pretty much immediately, and she had it down on the board, wasted no time. You love to see this caliber of play. You love to see it. And I say this as someone who did have sideway and wayside on my rack once and just ended up playing way
Oh,
because I
man.
forgot that wayside and sideway were both words. Imagine my surprise when I saw like the letters SIDE left on my rack, and I was like, oh crap, I could have just played a bingo with that.
These are the lessons we learn, one rack at a time, one turn at a time. But Yuki not learning any lessons today. She's instead teaching one to Dave Wiegand. She's up 226 to 163. Dave, again, 5 vowels and a G on his rack. Again, no playable bingos for him. Wow.
This is tough. And it's one of the reasons why I would have really liked him to play GOO, just to get rid of that one more vowel. Yes, this is Collins, and vowels aren't as terrible as they could be, but they're still pretty bad. The chances of you bingoing with as many, like, I think he kept 4 vowels. It's not great. So the best he could probably do is like, I think OAF, OAF, where I was suggesting oof before, to the side of bodices, making OOF, AD, and OAF. I think that would be a good play here. There's really not much for him to do, I think. There's just really not something that scores well enough.
Boy, I would not go back and second guess the decision that Dave Wiegand made on stream. You got guts, Nits. No, I mean, the actions have consequences, but I think Dave got hit with one of the least likely outcomes. He did a good job controlling the board with that last play, playing tight. You can always give a thumbs up to that. And the worst thing that can happen is my opponent has a bingo that starts with an S. If that happens, well, that happens, and it happened. But Dave in this position, not necessarily because of a poor play, but a play that just, he drew the vowels he didn't want to draw. He got another G, and his opponent had the bingo that started with an S. Nonetheless, never, ever, ever count Dave Wiegand out, especially not in New Orleans. Dude's a friggin' monster, and we'll see what he does here. Turns like this are so instructive to watch good players fight through. Yoga down from the Y and sideway looks okay. Maybe he's thinking about Yagi, Yagi in the same spot. This is really hard. He could also get nuts and try to play something through the C and Clark. AECIA opens 2 huge spots. GO blank is not the most flexible leave, but you could score 100 next turn very often after a play like Ishia.
That's interesting that you mentioned that. I would be surprised if Bing does so. I think Wiegand has a tendency to exchange in positions like these. I think that's something that Chad has also brought up, that he's done this in the past, but he seems to be identifying Goa, Goa, perhaps above Eek, making Jen okay and Goa. I think that's where we might see him make his move. I think that's a really good play here. It gets rid of, the G, it gets rid of two of the vowels that he doesn't want. AIE blank is a relatively good leave, but I mean, I don't know. Do you think, okay, all right, he's about to play Ego, which is his highest scoring play with these tiles. That is 26 points. Um, it's good. I just, I would have liked to see Goa, which he was already, thinking about. I would have liked to see Yoga, as you'd suggested. Maybe he's trying to keep the scoring pressure up. Maybe, thinking that I don't really have to bingo right now. I'll come into it eventually. I just need to keep the scoring pressure up.
Yeah, that is the decision we saw from Dave. Two tough turns in a row, two interesting decisions in a row. Dave just trying to stay alive in this one. He's got that blank in hand. He's just waiting for his opportunity to pounce. And he has created an opportunity beneath Ego to drop a bingo that scores 90 or 95 next turn. I think that spot gets blocked often, but you can't block beneath Ego and the back hook to sideway at the same time very easily. Yuki's going to have a tricky turn here now. DGIRTTU is her post bingo draw. She'll have some options through the YO or from the YO. Yogurt is a good
Oh,
equity
that's
play,
cool.
but it strings an R and a T out in wide open space against Dave Wiegand, who's been dinking and dunking for a few turns. That's terrifying. You don't want to do that with the lead.
I
Try
mean,
out,
fair.
try out Y is a more conservative option, but both of those are really tough to spot as well. What do you think, Nits?
I mean, I think she doesn't need to be as worried about making this board volatile. Yes, the yogurt play could be scary with the T out in space against Dr. Bing. I think the volatility is going to help Yuki here just because of, like their relative their ratings and their word knowledge. I think Yuki needs as many spaces on the board to play as possible here. But she did identify turgid. If there was a place for that, that would be cool. So I think there is. I think making WED wed and turgid might be cool. She did see that word. She did see that play. So I think that'd be interesting to see. Tryout is a really good find by Chat. That's hard to see. I wonder if we're going to see that come down. But there's really no way, I think, for her to really. I mean, here's the thing, right? She has to think about what Bing's current plays, his past plays, have suggested about what he's keeping on his rack. So he played Cog, he played off 2 tiles. He played Ego, he's played off 3 tiles. He seems to somewhat be struggling with vowels. I think she could possibly ascertain that from his moves, so that really, I think, decides how she moves ahead at this point.
I don't know. I mean, it's always gets in your head when you watch Scrabble. Whoa, fishing a G for 9. I guess you do want to obstruct the triple triple opportunity. Those are so terrifying, especially when Dave is there. He will find it 100% of the time. So that's a decision from Yuki. And back on Dave, AAA, HIP blank. This rack makes 3 sevens and 7 eights, but only one bingo plays for Dave, and he's already set it up. It plays from the R in Trafe, and that is the one playable bingo for Dave.
This is incredible. And Will Anderson in the chat has already found it. I mean, I bet Bing is just making sure there's no other places on the board to play. And I think we're going to see this come down relatively quickly. That'd be good to see. And we can get this game moving along. And Yuki's going to have a time and a half coming back, trying to make sure that she's still keeping up after this play has come down. So great find by Bing. This is, I mean, it's not an easy word to see, especially with the blank. But again, this is Dave Weekend. We expect this and more from him. That's why we have him on stream.
So Raphania, Raphania, a Collins only 8. The hooks in play are going to be important because that's a word that looks like it might take something beyond just an S. It looks like it might take nothing at all. And I've never seen that word before. There's a pretty good chance Yuki has not either. That's deep, deep, deep in the probability order with 3 A's. We'll see. In 5 point challenge, it's hard to put a hook on a word you've never seen before. I'll spoil it for us viewing at home since you haven't looked this up yet, I'm sure. One hook, just an S, but we'll see. And wow, look at the draw from Dave. Periods on his rack.
It'd be interesting to see Yuki try the S on that. I mean, she doesn't have it right now. She has to deal with quite a few consonants. It'd be good if she sees MUTT mutt on top of Raphania and gets that down, maybe obstructs that S a little bit. But I mean, does she want to obstruct the possibility of the S over there? Right now, she's going to go ahead and play Rut. I understand, like, seeing a spot that makes arc. That's a pretty cool find. Maybe not the best leave here, though. So I think Mutt would have been slightly better.
Yeah, DIMT the leave on this play. A good draw, and that can still yield some devastating results, but a good draw from Dave Wiegand here means he's going to pull ahead in this game. He's already up 269 to 252 after Yuki's last play. He once again has just one playable bingo. Periods making wed and ags. This will be 87 points. And as I think most people expected would eventually happen. Dave is going to Dave and go beast mode and play some word that none of us have ever seen before on top and then just go nuts. Dave doing Dave things. But Yuki's found that second blank.
Good
Let's see
for
what she can do with
her.
it. Might still have a game.
I don't think she has any sevens or any eights on this board right now, but maybe she can get to one eventually. She does need to get rid of some of those consonants right now, though. So something like dictum was suggested in the chat for her previous turn, and I think that would be good here as well. But instead, if she plays hump to the P of Raphania, I think that's a really good attempt to open up another lane, try to give her another shot at playing something on this board, which is quickly closing up. I feel like she can play through the L, through the C, but she's gonna run out of spaces if she doesn't, like if she doesn't see the Raphania's hook.
Yeah, hump is really nice. 33, keep good leave, put that H in space, and you threaten not just bingos with an H, but 90 to 100 point bingos from that H. That's a really, really good idea here. Dictum is another fine play. Open up two separate quadrants at once. A lot of the thinking on this turn has to come down to how confident am I on any of the hooks to Raphania? Would I draw if I drew an S and I drew a bingo that plays with Raphania's next turn? Am I willing to pull the trigger on it? Or
Right.
am I scared because Dave Wiegand is a monster?
You know what would be really interesting though? If Yukiko decided to go a really aggressive route and played Thud, THUD, on top of Raphania, making Tit, HA, and well, Thud. That would be 29 points. It would put a D out in the triple lane. That would be really aggressive, but really interesting to see. And she has seen that she could play humidity if she has a Y or an I on the board to play through or maybe humidist if she has an E or an S on the word on the board to play through. But unfortunately, she does not. She's going to keep looking for a 7 or an 8 here, though, which is I think good because she wants to make sure that there's nothing left unturned on this board. She wants to get back into the thick of the game. You see these tiles, you don't always think that there's going to be a bingo, right? Like you see these consonants, you're like, okay, I don't even want to try. So good on her for like still trying, for still trying to get to a possibility of a bingo, even though we know that there isn't one for her.
This rack on stream would drive me nuts. My entire ego would be just shattered. I'd be like, I'm 100% sure I'm missing a bingo, and everybody's yelling it at the screen right now except me. But again, in the commentary booth with anagrammers open, these racks are a lot easier to dissect. Yuki's got to look for bingos, come to the conclusion that she can't find any, which would be correct, and then find the next best play. And there are so many cool options. Hump is so standard. I love Nits's idea of thud or hum in the same spot above Raphania to put an M in that triple line. Just create something scary in space. I'm losing by 100 to Dave Wiegand, but I have a blank. You can't be scared here.
Right. So she's identified hum. Is she exchanging those tiles or did they go on the board?
What is happening? Why?
Were those exchanged?
I think board cam must have frozen. That's the only, this has to be hump or maybe hum on top, and we're just not seeing it.
That would make sense.
I'm
Yes.
guessing board cam froze. I'm guessing this was hump to the P. We're going to try to hear from our production team. I hope they can hear me talking right now. Andrew and Christian are always super on top of things. They're running this thing on the ground. Infinite credit to them all weekend. You'll hear their names more. And there we go, getting board cam reset. Bijnoty, the rack for Dave. And yeah, there it is, hump on the board, indeed. So we've got a Benji sighting already. Dave set that up earlier on his rack. Benji, Ben Schoenbrunn playing here today. But I didn't realize we'd see him on stream, despite not putting him on the stream.
Unfortunately, Benji will not play, but what Bing could do is play something like Bungee to the U of Hump and really try and close that space up, which is what he's doing right now. He's going to go ahead and control that board. He could have also played Nut Job in the same spot for 38 points. I think they're pretty similar, and this is exactly what he needs to do to control this board in this situation. It's going to be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for Yukiko to play a bingo unless she plays Raphanias.
Man, so many players just immediately play Job or Joy and JA. It's just so obvious on the equity perspective in that position. But wow, Dave, Spidey senses were tingling. That H made him scared. And indeed, Yuki had heredity from the H for 1,000,000 points. So Dave's Spidey senses go off. Yuki still threatens bingos here. She's got bingos using the C on the left side of the board if she doesn't want to try Raphanias, and she does have bingos that play in that spot, designating the blank as an 8 or as an S if she does want to try that spot. So a big decision here from Yuki, but we're likely to see a bingo either way. She'll need more than just that, though, with a big deficit.
And for newer beginner Scrabble players who are coming into this stream, these tiles that you see on Yukiko's rack, they are very high probability racks. These are some of the first tiles that you really see when you start studying for Scrabble. And yes, we do study for Scrabble. We do learn the dictionary. This is how we know words like Raphania. Well, this is how Dr. Bing knows words like Raphania. I do not know Raphania. But Yuki is definitely going to find some word here. She's definitely going to play a bingo here. She's going to find a spot, either with the C, as you mentioned, Matt, or trying Raphanias and hoping that that is a word. So I'm not worried about Yuki's ability to see something here. She already saw something like humidity or humidist. She's got a good so I think she's about to see credited. She's got a good eye for the bingos that can go on this board right now.
Yeah, I expect her to find something in this situation for sure, and I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen yet or next. Look at that unseen pool. Dave somehow, with a bunch of clunky consonants, pulled a bunch of vowels. He got both of the U's out, but that means VVWM are still sitting in the bag. Yeah, Yuki's going to bingo here. She's got recited set up, so I think she's ready to pull the trigger on Raphanias. Maybe not. But we'll see what she draws. It's going to be a huge post bingo draw for her.
It's kind of scary to be there in front of, Dave Wiegand of all people. He's won the Crescent City Cup multiple times. And you know that if you play something like Raphanias and it's not a word, the chances of it coming off are very, very, very high, especially because this is a Collins game in which, if the word is valid, there's only a 5-point penalty for the challenge, for the challenge. So you will see more challenges in Collins. You will see that words that are phonies do not stay on the board. So I think Yuki has to make kind of like this risk analysis of, is it worth trying a word that may or may not be valid? Because I mean, Raphania, does it take an S? Does it not take an S? It's really I don't know. Like, would you risk it? Would you risk it in a game?
Bro, I'm playing Dave Wiegand and I'm down by 104. Risk it for the biscuit. You've got to try in this situation. Nothing but pride to lose. I mean, the game's probably lost if you make a low scoring bingo from the C. So risk it for the biscuit. I would pull the trigger here, but I've also played phony top 100 bingos on stream because it was the only way I could win the game. Don't try to play with pride. Play to win the game, even if it looks ugly.
So I think Yuki is about to go and put recited down on the board. That'd be really good to see. Chad has suggested decrepit because that could also be a safe-ish kind of option. It is 70 points to the C of Clark. Decrepit. It does also open up a triple lane to the side, kind of like how recited or Diester would. And I think, that makes sense. But Yuki's going to pick the safer choice of credited. This is unfortunately only 64 points. She did need more than that. To give up on recited is it's a little tough, but I can understand why she wanted to play safe.
I mean, depending on my mood and how hard I went last night, like I would play that turn differently as well. I might be conservative at times and aggressive at other times. One thing that does make this more palatable is there is one unseen S. And if I draw it, I can try Raphanias later if there's a way I can win the game. This also makes Dave's life pretty tough because there's a huge triple word on the left side of the board, and there's the Raphania's spot on the right side of the board. It is impossible to address both. So a great draw from Yuki, and she's still alive in this game. We'll see.
I think there's a strong possibility of Dave just taking the spot that has been opened up because of credited. The chat has already seen an option, but I think you're right. URITE that Bing is now putting on his
Oh,
rack as we speak. That might be a good play here. You don't want to hang on to that U. It's not really fun to have in your rack. And Dr. Bing has two of those. I mean, that's kind of gross to see. And this is going to score him 34 points for those very low scoring tiles. That is an incredible find, an incredible play. And good on Bing for, keeping on the scoring pressure. He's playing pretty quickly. That's exactly what he wants to do here.
and I like that he's holding on to two vowels here. I think the nightmare situation, looking at this unseen pool, is you draw LLMVV or something after this play. So you want to have vowels in tow. You can survive drawing all of the vowels left in that bag because then Yuki's got just the worst rack imaginable. I like this idea. You're right, instead of something like Audi or Auri in that situation. And I mentioned after Yuki's post bingo draw was huge, there's MVVW in the bag, and then she drew all of those.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that's not the draw she was looking for. She needed that S. It's on Dave's rack. I think we can stick a fork in this one now. Yeah, Nits?
I mean, unfortunately, this might be, I think it would be near impossible for Yuki to be able to win this. That draw is just not what she was looking for. She really wanted that S. She wanted the low scoring 1 point tiles. She wanted the chance to bingo again to be able to catch up. She's got to keep up her scoring, maybe, stem that spread loss here. If she finds this play a vow from the A in Clark, that would be 34 points. That's something that she needs for her score right now. Keep that spread low. I mean, maybe there's a really crazy word from the GI that's, all the way at the bottom. Like maybe there's a 9-letter word that she can play. But I mean, with this draw, I mean, quite obviously that's not about to happen. I think Yuki's going to be prioritizing getting rid of those V's, getting rid of one of the W's if she can. A vow, I think, would be a good find. Otherwise, Vav through that same A, VAV would also work. But this is just tough. This is just a tough position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Yuki's best option is to invent a time machine in 3 minutes and 47 seconds and not draw VVWM out of the bag. But alas, I don't think she's got the ability to do that.
Yeah.
She's talented, but perhaps not
Yeah.
that talented. It
I
looks
mean,
like
I love
VAW.
how you put it that way. Like it's a skill set to be able to draw good tiles from the bag. Like like you like kind of train your fingers, and you go into the bag, and you're like, okay, I've trained my fingers. They're stronger now. They're always going to put out the blanks and like the S's. But unfortunately for all of us viewers, any of us, Scrabble enthusiasts, we know that we can't do that as much as we'd like to. This is not a fight against, who is better at drawing tiles. This is just it's just luck of the draw. And unfortunately, the bag is sometimes just mean to us. And Yuki, like she had just as much of an opportunity, a chance to pick up an S, a T, a bingo out of that bag. And unfortunately, she didn't. So I mean, it really sucks. She really still had a chance, I think.
I completely disagree. I think drawing good letters is, in fact, a skill that you develop over time. I think you can manifest these draws, but I'm a crazy nutso, ridiculous grizzled vet at this point. Everybody's got their own stance on luck. To some Scrabble players, it is all the great equalizer in the long run, and to other people, they're all about that superstition, and you can truly manifest the draw. Talk to Scrabble players about luck. I promise they will never shut up about it.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're definitely gonna have to tell me how you're drawing like all the great tiles out of the bag, because I could take that master class. I'm definitely interested in those lesson plans. I mean, I don't know. You let me know your hourly rate, and we can talk it out. But I do want to see if Bing is able to find uncredited here. I think that would be so incredible to see if he's able to just see that credited extends to uncredited. If there's someone who's gonna see it, it's gonna be Dave Wiegand. I mean, there's no risk to doing it with Vav on the board now. I like this would be so cool just to see.
It would be. I don't know that it's even correct. I'm sure Dave will notice things. He just notices everything. He's one of the best Scrabble players on or on the planet. If you're brand new to Scrabble, Dave is incredible at this game. But I think actually trying to play long out of this rack is better with 2 in the bag. If you can play something like OUTTA, and making OY at the top of this board, hold NS, you're almost guaranteed to go out in 1 next turn. That's probably a better sequence, but uncredited would be cool. Get the 9 down, do it on stream, flex on us all. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he
I mean,
decides to do.
I understand why you would want to play long here, but I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, you're so first of all, I mean, you're kind of guaranteed to win here, and uncredited gives you like the 24 points. You get left with toast. You have places to play that. I mean, no one's going to be able to block Rafinha, not easily, and always there's, I guess you could play it to the side of sideways. Never going to forget that word. But yeah, I do see that he's identified Auda. I think uncredited still here would be the better play.
I think uncredited is simming. I just ran it on Quackle and it comes out slightly ahead, but you're drawing the last 2 tiles out of the bag. Maybe you draw some unblockable Rafinha's bingos or something. Toast is not the best leave, but it's an okay leave. I don't know. It doesn't. It's all whatever at this point. Just a thought exercise. Dave's going to hold on and win this game either way.
I don't know. I kind of like these thought exercises. It's fun because I mean, you never know when you're going to be in Bing's chair. You never know when you're playing a game and you're in this exact position and you want to know, hey, what would an expert do in this point? So I don't know if it's so like. I mean, I personally don't think I'd discount this game just yet. Yes, we know who's going to win. Yes, we know who's going to lose, but it's still fun to see how the moves turn out.
Well, in this tournament, sponsored by Coco, or at least the CSW side of things, means that spread actually matters in your rating too. So if you care about things like rating, you want to make sure you do this right. NATTO, not OUTTA, but kind of the same idea. Again, I think he wants to hold a vowel just in case he ends up with some unwieldy draws here. You don't want to end up with 4 consonants or else you're not going out. And Yuki found LO into her leave of women. That's going to be her last rack of the game, ELMNOOW. I think we might get one little meow beneath periods. And then I think that's going to be about it for this one. ALSU means Dave can go out with Saul in a number of places. There's one game.
Incredibly respectable game from Yuki's end. I mean, this was hard. I mean, you draw the way that you do. It's really hard to play through those tiles, especially when you could have easily drawn a bingo out of the bag and then you ended up with VVW. This game, I think, could have still gone either way, even after credited. I mean, yes, it would have been nice to see Yuki take the risk and play Rafinha's and recited, but I think, she still had a fighting chance and she's done so incredibly well. Sideway was sound just so fast. That was just lovely to see from Yuki's end. I think she's just put up a great show here. So I don't know about you. Like, I really enjoyed watching this game.
Oh yeah, solid effort from both players. But at the end of the day, Dave gonna Dave. That's kind of how Scrabble goes. But Yuki, nothing to be ashamed of here. She played a great game, turned things sideways for a minute, and then Dave with the bingo bango is gonna come out on top. Man, there's going to be so much good Scrabble. I just feel like the caliber of Scrabble across the scene has really started to improve over the last few years. We've seen growth. We've seen an increase in numbers. We've seen an increase in number of people watching online content, creating online content. People are getting scary good at Scrabble, and I'm here for it.
I think so too. I think so too. And you know what? I feel like the streams are a huge part of this. So if you guys are watching this, we're on Austin Shin's stream right now, and he has a stream that is pretty incredible. You're able to, send in answers to some alphograms that are usually on the screen, and he sometimes annotates his games, and it's a really good time. I think if you guys have the chance, you should come by, watch more of his streams, chime in and see some of the Coco streams as well. We're always here with more games. I think we're going to be back with the World Cup later this summer itself, and always a great time to watch more Scrabble and to get better.
Yeah, and if you are just kind of wandering into competitive Scrabble, I mean, there's a lot of content out there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on Austin's channel here. He's on Twitch a couple of times a week, doing different things. There's some content over on YouTube as well. All kinds of stuff out there. But I want you to understand, you don't have to be Yukiko Loritz or Dave Wiegand to show up at a tournament and have fun. Just show up, get as good as you feel like getting. You'll meet some awesome people, and have an excuse to come hang out in New Orleans. It's a good time. Dave has gone out with ALUS. It's going to make the final score in this one 473 for Dave Wiegand, 397 from Yuki, and we are one game down to go here at the Crescent City Cup. Let's cut to that overhead mic.
Yeah, for sure one. Yeah. Yeah, this was real lucky to get that right after.
Yeah. I didn't want to do this, but because it's too easy to get it. Triple
The
kill.
N,
Yeah,
yeah.
N, S. I would always block that. Okay, it's confirmed.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't submit it.
Oh.
All right. You all done with the board?
Yeah. Sometimes they like to leave it for a minute.
It should be 475, guys.
They can just leave it for now.
Yeah. My husband loves this. I'm not crazy about it. Have you had it?
No. What is it?
It's fermented soybean.
Oh.
It smells pretty gross. It doesn't taste really great either. It's
No.
supposed to be very good for you.
Like edamame. Is it anything like that?
No, that
Okay.
is definitely much more palatable. And it's also slimy. So yeah,
No,
a lot
thanks.
about it. Yeah, I'm like, ew, no. They're kind of obvious, I guess.
All right, so
Yours-
here the players chatting about NATO, NATTO. This is a new word, valid both in NWL and CSW. If you didn't know it yet, you know it now. And I'm going to drop one more little nugget of wisdom. This word has a sneaky front hook next to front A. So if you see that,
Yeah, I didn't
pounce on
like
it.
that play either. It locked up the board and had a blank. We just had no other plays really.
Right, yeah.
And I had all fouls for a couple turns.
Is that when you traded?
Yeah. And I kept
Yeah.
getting more fouls.
Yeah, I had all vowels except for this N when I played that. I wasn't sure if I should trade or just play some off.
Yeah, it's always tough.
All right. Well, it seems like the action over the board is winding down. I do not yet have the next matchup, but we are going to cut to a brief break. I made the commentator blunder of drinking 3 cups of coffee this morning, and I got to run. But we will be back in just a few short minutes. 3 more games of CSW from our morning block, and then 4 games of WoW this afternoon from the Crescent City Cup. Once again, Matt Canik wearing the headset, joined in the booth by Nits, Chagti all weekend. We're going to cut away. We'll be right back. Y'all don't go anywhere.